Welcome, listener. This is Sebastian Nothwell, and today I'm joined by indie author D.C. Emerson, who writes contemporary queer romance, including the Not-So-Normative series and the spin-off series Conflict Mediation. Hello, D.C.
Hello.
Which of your books are you most excited to talk about today, and why?
Well, ironically, one that is in neither of those series.
All right, brand new series.
I am part of a multi-author series, which will be my first time doing one of those. And it starts coming out in September, and it is so exciting. And the second I heard about it, I knew exactly what I was going to write, and I knew I needed to be in the series. It's being organized by Denver Shaw. It is the Go Million High reunion series. So everything I write has trans and or genderqueer rep in it. And so this is a 20-year high school reunion. So of course my brain goes 20-year high school reunion and make it trans.
Yes.
Which is everyone's response when I say that. So it is exactly that. It's the quarterback of the football team and one of the co-captains of the cheerleading team, except now the cheerleader is out and proud as trans, and they run into each other at the bar before the reunion starts, and lots of, I would say, shenaniganry ensues, but it really isn't. It's self-exploration. Our quarterback is a self-described, therapist-described, friend-described people pleaser, and he's taken a job that he doesn't know if he wants, and he just wants to make his mom proud. It also really delves into friendship in a way that I haven't gotten to really explore in other books. As I keep getting older, friendship means so much different than it did before, especially in like queer communities. Friendship just means something different, I think, than it's meant at other points in my life. And so there's a very deep exploration of queer platonic relationships, QPRs, so much so that I actually have a short story coming out alongside the book, which is one of the characters who's in a QPR with our former cheerleader. So very excited. And it's different. It's different than some of my other books. I'm in the process. About 10 minutes ago, I was editing it. Hopefully I will be done editing it by the time the podcast does come out. But my book comes out September 16th. So got a little bit of time.
You packed so much of what I loved into so few words. So here for the queer platonic relationships, so here for an exploration of what friendship means within queer circles, and so here for coming back to the high school reunion as a completely different gender and making people deal with it.
Yes.
So do you have a favorite character that you've created?
So I, like many other authors, accidentally wrote myself into my first book. So I don't feel comfortable saying that character, even though I would love to. But my prequel to my Not-So-Normative series features Frankie and Diego, who meet. Diego's in grad school, Frankie's in college. They meet in an entrepreneur class, and they end up forming the Rainbow Bean Cafe. I didn't intend this at the beginning, but it has turned into the Rainbow Bean Cafe is the underpinning of my full Not-So-Normative series. And the Conflict Mediation spin-off series will also feature the Rainbow Bean, but it is sort of a linchpin in the community in my books. And so Frankie is probably one of my favorite characters. I have had the opportunity to write him back into some of my works in progress, so we'll be seeing lots more of Frankie, but he's just so positive and loving and fun, but also not afraid to fight for what he believes in and fight for the people he loves. And I just love that. And I have a lot of amazing examples of that in my life, which is why I needed a character like that. But it's great fun being able to pull him back in. He's going to get a little short story coming out next year, and he'll be a pretty big feature in ideally a holiday book I'm aiming to publish in 2026. He and Diego are a close friend of the main character, so there'll be a lot more talks in the Rainbow Bean Cafe, which for anyone who's read an epic construct and a basic binary, Frankie's sibling Penelope has a lot of talks with their brother Frankie in the cafe, so happy to pull that back in.
And if I'm remembering correctly, readers can get a glimpse of the Rainbow Bean Cafe in your free short story?
It is mentioned super offhand. I believe they go to the cafe off page, but
at the very end.
Yes, yeah, and that free short story is what is going to kick off the Conflict Mediation spin-off series.
Fantastic. What drew you to your subgenres?
So I started in fanfic, as most do, and fanfic allows a huge amount of liberty with characters. It allows a lot of liberty with genders and sexualities, and so that sort of formed the basis of my writing. And so writing queer contemporary romance, and I'll give a hint to your listeners, I am delving into a new genre. Announcements coming in a month or two, but that genre also allows for a lot of dalliance in gender and sexuality exploration and romanticism exploration exploration. And so I love the genre. I love the romance genre. I think there's a huge amount of leeway given to authors so long as you follow the rules, have a happy ever after, happy for now, give good rep, give purposeful, sensitive rep. There's a lot of leeway. There's a lot of exploration you can do. And I love that. I love exploring that.
That's awesome. I agree. I do love the romance genres. I would say almost extreme permissiveness within those happily ever after, happy for now boundaries.
Definitely.
Is there a particular reason why it's been contemporary so far?
That was the first fan fiction I actually wrote. It was not Coffee Shop AU. It so happens I wrote Coffee Shop AU as my first book series. But no, I don't know. I think so. Yes, there's definitely a reason. I started and am dabbling a huge amount in contemporary. I got my start writing fanfic, which happened to be contemporary. And through writing fanfic, I started researching gender. I was writing a character who canonically is genderqueer. And so I started doing some research and read the book Genderqueer by Maya Kobabe. And I tabbed almost every page of the graphic novel. And I didn't tab it for my research. I tabbed it for me. And through that, realized I was non-binary. And my first book was really me exploring that. It wasn't my identity. It's not my story, but it was an exploration of that identity, which is mine. And so through that book and the sequel, which is exploring their relationship with their gender fluid partner, and then the prequel, which is exploring Frankie, who's a cis man, and Diego, who's a trans man, exploring their relationship with gender and sexuality and each other, I've just found it has been easier for me to dive into that exploration when I don't also have to world build. But that is not always going to be the case. I am, as I hinted, going to delve into some new genres that will require a lot more world building, but I'm hoping that the world building is still very gender informed, very queer sexuality informed. And I'm excited for it, but I think contemporary was a good playground for me to start in.
Kind of get that queer writing under your belt, and now that you're more comfortable in the gender space, kind of branching out into, okay, so how do we change the world the gender is in?
Yeah, and I read predominantly contemporary, not always romance. I do a fair amount of lit fic as well, but that's sort of my main genre, and it's how my stories work in my head has always been contemporary or some of the more urban. If we're doing urban fantasy, urban horror, it's still that kind of present day and age thinking, and so that helped me be able to quickly jump into books and ideas and stories, is because I think the stories that have been in my head for years and decades were always in that kind of contemporary field. And then I read so much of it, I understand the plot beats and I understand the subgenres and the tropes and stuff like that.
A very familiar playground.
Yes.
What stories inspire you?
Definitely ones I read. I get very inspired by other authors, and other trends, I think, in the literature definitely inspire me. But I think stories of people I know and love and members of my community inspire me a lot too.
What are some themes you love to explore or revisit in your writing?
Definitely self-love in conjunction with external love, whether that be platonic or romantic. There's always an element of growth and exploration in all of my books, and I don't think I would ever really move away from that. That's really important to me and has been a really essential part of pretty much my entire adult life, has been that like self-exploration and journey towards self-love and self-acceptance. But also gender euphoria. I don't think it's something we talk about as often. Gender euphoria is important and fun to write about and talk about. So I try to incorporate that into all my books as well.
We do love a celebration of gender euphoria. What drives your storytelling and motivates you to write?
It's definitely my community. It's the people who stood alongside me in libraries when we couldn't find ourselves in books and we couldn't find the rep we wanted. And nowadays there is like such phenomenal rep, but there can always be more. And that's absolutely what gets me out of bed every morning and to my computer to, write for hours and hours on end. It's wanting to tell stories that people can see themselves in.
Absolutely. And it's also because writing itself, I feel like, is often such a lonely pursuit. You're just kind of working with yourself to drive that creativity onto the page for so many hours. Being able to share that with community and also have that writing build community and nourish community is very rewarding.
Yes, absolutely. I've been writing for 2 years in total. I've been active in the author scene, but the past year has been night and day in terms of finding community and finding connection. And it's made all the difference, definitely in terms of getting out of bed in the morning.
What do you hope to accomplish with your stories?
to teach without being preachy, ideally. I go into most of my writing with the assumption that folks have kind of, I always compare it to like college level coursework, right? You have like a 101 or even a 201 understanding of queerness and gender queerness, but maybe I delve into something that's like a 301, a 401, or even a 501. And it doesn't have to be, I'm going to pick this book up to learn, but the best review I could ever read is someone saying, oh, I didn't know this about myself or my loved ones or my community, and now I do. That means the world to me.
As a reader, it's definitely a rewarding experience to walk away from a book with my mind feeling more enriched than when I went in.
Exactly.
Similarly, what's the number one thing you want readers to take away from your books?
Definitely queer joy, and not just queer joy, but also that sort of no matter what gender, sexuality, if you're neurodiverse or disabled or mentally ill, fat, thin, chronically ill, all of these things that I think weigh us down and can sometimes make us feel very isolated and afraid, there's always a place for you in community. And I try to build that in every one of my books. I emphasize a huge amount more than just, and I do write romance, but it's so much more than romantic romance. There's platonic romance. There's all different forms of affection and connection. And I want folks to walk away feeling that. Writing is lonely, reading is lonely, but I don't want folks to feel lonely walking away from a book. I want them to feel like it's an open hand and an open invitation, I guess, to community.
Books as an open door to community are really, yeah, I think that is the purest reading can take you away. What advice do you have for aspiring authors?
Man, I'm a broken record today. It's gonna be find community. I did it backwards, as I think most folks do. I wrote 3 books before I found any sort of community, but every single book that has come out since then and will continue to come out is solely due to my friends and my community. They're the ones who pick me up when I fall down. They hold my hand through. I have ADHD and suffer from rejection sensitivity dysphoria, RSD, severely. And not every day, but lots of days you wake up and feel there's no way you should be allowed to do this. Who let you do this? Who allowed you to think you were an author? And I feel that very deeply. And a lot of people I know feel that deeply too. It's so helpful having someone or someone's or an entire Discord server or an Instagram chat or whatever that looks like, a critique group or whatever that looks like. It's so impactful to have folks who know exactly what you're going through, know what you're feeling, can give you the tips and tricks, and also just kind of sit with you when you're feeling down about it.
I concur. It is absolutely essential. And like you, I also went into it backwards. I think like as part of like writing being such a lonely process is only after publishing something do we think of ourselves as writers and kind of announce ourselves as writers amongst fellow writers, and only then are we able to really find community.
Yeah, I agree. Wish it wasn't like that, but I understand why that happens a lot of the time.
So if there's one takeaway we have for anyone who's just starting, do the make friends part first. It's fun. Yes. It's helpful. You'll learn so much. Writing will get so much easier.
Yes. Speaking of which, I'm very happy to put a plug in. I'm part of the Rainbow Readers Discord, and it's great. I mean, there's probably 700 plus members. So it's easy to feel lost, but I have been able to find, it's easy to feel lost in the general writer community as well, but big Discord servers can be scary. I was super scared at first. I kind of dragged my feet on the whole Discord thing, but I'll always put a pitch out. Rainbow Readers is always open to new readers, writers, fans, fanatics. It's been great. And that's another thing, it took me 3-4 years to find that, and I'm really glad I have.
Hell yeah. So for those who would like to get on board with your books and perhaps be ready to go when you do make that genre shift, where can they find you and your works online?
Yeah, so I'm available on Amazon, Kindle Unlimited. I'm through Ingram, so you can request my books in any local bookstore and through your library. And my website, DC Emerson, has a link to my newsletter, but I am most active in my Facebook group, DC Emerson's Emissaries, as well as Instagram, author DC Emerson, as well as in that server, which the information is in my Instagram, I believe is probably the easiest way to find that. But in that server, I have my own channel. Yes, my own channel in the server. I got this.
You got this.
Totally a millennial. I can feel my millennial card being ripped away from me. I have my own channel on the server, and I will post announcements there as well. So those are the best places to find me.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. This has been a wonderful time, and we hope to have listeners back for another roundtable soon.
Thanks so much.